Right folks, so it's a Sunday morning and we ventured down to a little mark in the southwest to target a few Gilthead Bream. Now it's about 10:30 high water, with low water being about 4:30, and the water is absolutely perfect, clean clear, so hopefully we can get a few fish out. Now I'm using a boat rig, 2 flatty fanatics, £20 main line onto Nomura fixed spools, and I've got a simple boat rig, so I've got £80 rig body with a swivel on end, rubber bead in the middle, swivel link clip with a 4-ounce lead, and basically a little size 2 old chinny from Cox and Raw. I've got these little, I think they're Yukis actually, but they're ideal because basically what you do is you just put the crab in like that, yeah, so the crab's in like that, and then what you can do, you can bring your hook into the bait like so, and then basically just wrap around it. It's a little gadget I picked up somewhere. I found it in my fishing rod the other day, and a lot of people keep all the shell on. I've took the top layer off and kept the bottom on. Just bind them around the hook really. You're not using massive baits, smallish baits really, like that. As you can see now, I can just get that right where I want him. The hook point's the main thing, I want it proud. They got quite tough mouths, the Giltheads. So that's like that, and then I basically pull that out like so, pull him in, push him off, and that is ready to take off. So that's the first one, all ready to go. I'm going to do both of them, exactly the same on my second rig. So I've got the other part of the crab now. I'm only using half a crab, but I'll just put him in like that. It's easy, easy peasy. Then I'll bring the hook point in. Might not wondering what the noise is in the background. Mr. Slack's got the drone up just to get a little hover over the water, creating that nice little image. But it's like a quite chilled one today. Me and Gav worked 6 days this week, so we decided we were going to thought about going up a channel, but we thought nah, we'll just go a nice easy one, get the light gear out. Perfect day for it. So Adam managed to get hold of some lovely prime fresh crab, which hopefully will do the business here today. I think Dan Bassett's going to join us a bit later on. Dan's had a bit of success already, and yeah, hopefully I'll be happy as long as one of us can get one out today. At the end of the day, targeting Gilthead Bream, it's a bit early still, but you've got a chance of catching one. But as long as one of the boys here on the beach today, even myself, managed to catch one, it's been a good day, like, you know what I mean. It's temperatures, it was -2 this morning, believe it or not, but as we get out the car it was 1 degree, but it's not really cold. I think obviously the sun's out, it's going to warm up pretty quick. There's a couple of anglers here already, but we're mainly waiting for that as the tide starts ebbing away, and then we're going to fish a few hours under flood later on this afternoon, so hopefully get one out. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to do, because I'm using the boat rig, that's settled straight down onto the bed now, so all I'm going to do is literally pull back slightly, right, as I can feel it there like that. I know that lead's set, right, so my rod tip's slightly bent over at the minute. So what I'm going to do now, I don't want the bail arm set totally locked in. At the same time, I don't want my drag really loose. I want that hook point to set in that gilt's mouth straight away. That's the whole point of the boat rig. I'll go through it a bit more in a minute. So basically all I'm doing is allowing a little bit of line to drop slightly on the top of the water there, yeah? And then I'm going to tighten up my drag. That's fine. Alright, so that rod's set now. First one out perfect. So got 4 ounce plain lead on, which is more than enough. There's not a lot of tide where we are. So if I was a bit further afield, I might put a 4 ounce gripper on. That would be a perfect day. Let's get the second rod out. You don't jump out the water then?
Yeah, I saw it definitely.
About, I don't know, 100 yards up from where we're fishing, about 30 yards, 20 yards out, literally just past this weed, which just obviously just covering now. Big splash out the water, bass or mullet.
Oh yeah.
There we go, let's get him out.
Anything bigger than
Exactly the same again. Put the lead. It's clean there where I am, so I know I'm in the channel. Rod up. Nice. Okay, so that's both rods set there now, and what I'll do, I'll go through the rig quickly. So, you don't necessarily need a lot of gear when you're gilting. It's one of the joys of this type of fishing, really. Obviously, seat box always helps. Adam forgot his today. I'm going to have to probably share mine. But after that, I'll let him get sore feet. But we won't do that to the lad. We won't do that to the lad. So.
Yeah, you will.
Gav just put one out there now to the right hand side. Perfect. I'm feeling confident where we are today. So this is basically what I've got. I've got rigs already made up. So I've got some boat rigs made up with £20 wire. And I've also got some boat rigs made up with £40 wire. It's the Knottable AFW. And I always prefer to use the wire. And I remember the other year when we went down to the Cornwall, Nick and Stu Norris, they were using just normal fluorocarbon, and I decided to give the wire a go because they have got very sharp mouths, and I've been bitten off before, and you don't want to be doing that, especially when you get it. Imagine getting an 8 or 9 pounder and you get it in close and it bites you off. Definitely not needed. And what I found is this wire didn't pay any difference to my catch rating. I had exactly the same amount of bass as everybody else, and I had the only gilt of the session. And the wire seemed to play the. It's not heavy wire at the end of the day. It's still got movement and stuff. I just find that really good. And just in case all else fails, I've got some £35 fluorocarbon there as well to use. All right, and then obviously I've got some made up with £20 wire, and I've also got some made up with £40 wire. But I'll just get one out just to show you the general gist of the rig. So I'm just going to use a grip lead here on this one. It's pretty basic, guys. I mean, Adam's set up a bit different. I'll go through Gav in a minute. I'm not sure what Gav done for rigs. I know Adam's, he's basically done running ledgers, and he's just put some silicone tubing on the other end, so it acts as a running ledger, but a boat rig at the same time. It's got that initial back where the lead can, obviously the fish takes off, exactly the same way as this, really. But I'll just make them up, it's easy, they're done. You know what I mean? They're all set up, there's no mucking around, it's easy. I don't expect to lose many rigs where we are today. But that's all it is, okay? So basically, when that's set out, it's set on the seabed like so. So as that lead obviously sets down there like that now, as that fish goes to take off, it runs off like that, and it'll pick that lead up. And that'll basically hook the fish. So it's got about 4 foot of play before that obviously hook point does what it needs to do. But I find it important, I know when you're using like lug baits and small baits, when I've been down fishing in Hale in Cornwall, the fish tend to run and pick up the lug bait, and it just goes right back. You're using a lot smaller hooks, obviously, because you're not using crab, and they tend to get hooks right back. And if I'm fishing now, I tend to set my bait runner. But when I'm fishing crab baits, I tend to want to obviously make sure as they hit it, that hook point does what it needs to and goes straight into the mouth. Now, Gav was telling me the other day about the one he had, and it was like hooked perfectly. And I think I'm looking at it, and I look for what I would use for bass and stuff like that. And I've been using like the 4-0 hooks before, and sometimes when I've been guilting, I'll get in these big smashing bites, and the rod just flips back up with nothing at all. So I went to have a look. I've got some made up with the 1-0s, but I think they're slightly too small. At the end of the day, I'm not saying you look at a 4-pound gilt's mouth, and you probably look at an 8-pound gilt's mouth. They haven't got as exceptionally small mouths, but I think that there is a perfect size, really. 2-0, and it'll do the business. I know, obviously, when we've done that feature with Rob Wheaton on the British record, what he had it on a 1-0. Yeah, I've got 2-0s on here just today anyway, with a 40-pound wire, 80-pound rig body, and as I said, I'm using plain leads at the minute. I think they're holding. How did you get on there, Gav? It's holding all right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's holding.
Yeah, perfect. So that's just basically the rig. Bait wise, you can use a lot of different things. You can use lugworm, ragworm, peeler crab, razorfish. A lot of different baits will work at different areas. Now, I wouldn't specifically come down here where I am now and use razorfish, just for the simple fact that I would probably use that more on the beaches or the open coast. But crab baits, I don't think you can go really wrong with it, especially for the bigger fish. Dan Bassett will be down here a little bit later on. It's more his cup of tea, this sort of fishing. He'll be able to give you a bit more knowledge into depth of, like, he's been doing it for many years and he does it on a regular basis and probably knows a lot more, especially about where we are fishing, than we do at the minute. But it's nice to put the big rods away and get down onto the smaller rods, really. But we're going to have a look at Adam and Gav's bits now, and then we'll move on for the day and hopefully we can get some fish. Alright, so this is Adam's setup. So Adam's using, what are you using then, bud?
Just a running ledger, basically.
You turned it into a bit of a boat rig.
Turned it into a boat rig, bit of silicone up there, so obviously when the fish takes off it can get the lead snag straight away.
It's one thing I love about fishing, is how different people bait up and different approaches to catching fish. Now, I fish a lot with Adam, and we fish same venues, a lot of different ways, but you see Adam with a lot of the different rigs used, and especially pulley rigs and that, they're always quite short, aren't they? Where even when we're blonde ray fishing, and, you know what I mean, I go for a massive long pulley rig. Yours aren't exceptionally as long, and like, you know what I mean?
Not massively long, but
no. And you catch a fish with them.
Yes,
it works. It does work. Yeah. And like that there now, he's got the tails going up through. That on the bed is a lot bigger bait. To be honest, it looks a bit more natural than mine. Obviously, it's got legs all tangled out and stuff. That looks a pretty bait to me.
Yeah, I like the legs.
You love it. It looks pretty, doesn't it, at the end of the day?
Most of sense in the legs.
Yeah, it is. And exactly the same. He's the same method, exactly the same as what I've done, except from is the cost. Obviously, if he's going to lose gear with that, it's not even a quid.
No.
You know what I mean? When I lose my gear, it's probably like 152 quid, what I've got on it. But he's got a bit of shrink tube around on the top, just acts as his boat rig. Really short again. Little tiny bead there just to protect the knots. We talked about that the other day. It's a really big bit of advice, guys. It's always protect your knots, isn't it? I mean, little swivel, and he's got a bit of wire there, crimped on. Perfect movement. So equipment wise, using a Century Ensure bass rod.
Yeah, and a Cabo 40.
And a Cabo 40, perfect. Bit of braid.
Bit of braid on there, yeah, 40-pound braid.
There you go.
40-pound fluorocarbon. There's a leader, and that's it.
Ideal. Right, we'll get Adam sending one out and we'll go over and see Big Gav. Right, so this is Gavin's setup. So what you got then, mate?
I'm using the Flatty Fanatics Lemfoots with Shimano
They're lovely little reels, aren't they? They're perfect for the job. You got your 20 pound line?
20 pounds Daiwa sensor on that.
Perfect. Rig wise?
Rig wise, I'm using a fixed pat and a boat rig.
Different.
Just to see what happens. I mean, obviously, you know, the fixed pat, it's instant, isn't it?
I've just noticed you've put one out with exactly the same verse, but you've gone real short with another one. The reason for that being?
Just because I generally find, you know, your fish when they're on the feed, they sort of tend to fish closer to the channel.
Yeah.
You know, and up around the weed where the feed is going to be. So it's
they're going to be coming out this channel, going along this front of this weed where
exactly.
it's going.
So it's worth just putting one close the one out far, see what happens. If you start getting them on the one that's out at distance, then you know you can reel in and just bang the other one out. But generally, rule of thumb, fish generally tend to feed closer in, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, use the channel as a highway and then come in to feed.
Hopefully, I've got a good feeling about today, especially with the clarity of the water. We're going to see
No,
something.
I haven't
bass.
done much fishing up this way, you know
No.
what I mean, especially estuary fishing, but
Learning. It's learning curve. It's like the
yeah,
same with
definitely.
me. It's,
You know, and gilthead fishing. I haven't done a lot of it, but I have done it and I have caught gilthead. So
I think it's with
know.
the same with everything really. It's learning the surroundings, and especially it's different, like you said, it's a new area. I know I've fished it a few times, but it's not somewhere I know like I would do some of the venues.
I mean,
I've
the only
fished.
time I've ever fished up here is really for flounder. It's not really, and even that's sparse. You know what I mean? I've only done that a handful.
It's looking for the pattern, isn't it? The feeding
Yeah,
pattern,
of
and
course
obviously
it is.
just gaining information. That's one good thing about fishing is just learning, and especially what we're doing today. I was looking forward to it really.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get a few fish out for it.
No, definitely, mate.
Game on,
Yeah,
mate.
definitely.
Game on. It's for a good day.
We'll
What
see
you
what
say?
happens. No, just see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, see what.
Definitely somewhere
thing.
they produce a lot of mullet.
Yeah, it's, you know,
Can't
it's
do
a
it all,
shame
like
really,
you
but you
said.
can't do it all. You've got to
No.
be able to concentrate with these gilts, you know what I mean? Obviously the bites, you know,
A lot of people just fish one rod, don't they? From
yeah, you know, it's, the thing is, I mean, they say, a lot of people I speak to say that giltheads, you know, they hit it hard, you know what I mean? But the ones I had, I mean, they say the one I had was just under 5, that one there. That
Didn't even know it was hooked.
No, it was just like a little tap, you know what I mean? A couple of little taps, and I thought it was a little schoolie bass playing with the bait. And
yeah. It's
Like,
surprising.
into it.
The ones I've had, all of them. I remember the one at Hell Pool I had on a beach caster, which was going raying, and it was last minute change of plan.
Yeah.
And it literally took off. And I mean, just like I was probably 60, 70 yards away from my rod talking to Wayne, and all I heard is 525 ratchet screaming off, and it didn't stop by the time I got there. It just went.
Yeah.
And then the other one I had exactly the same. It was like straight over, like crazy.
No.
But I suppose
That's what a lot of people said the same thing to me.
Tide,
They said,
yeah.
they said, don't leave your rod, blah blah blah.
Didn't realise
but-
it was hooked, did it?
No, it
like,
just
bang.
literally, mate, and you know, literally, till I got about 10 yards in, and then it decided it was wanting to go. But by that time, I sort of had it right in
Where
the
we
net
wanted.
anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Hopefully we get a few out then.
see what happens.
As you can see now, the tide's starting to flood. We've got about an hour and a half to high water, and we're right where we are. Obviously, when you're fishing for Gilthead Bream and you're fishing in different creeks and estuaries and stuff like that, you always got to have your wits about you. If you go into areas where you can't get up out the water, you need to make sure you've got a place to actually get out safely. Obviously, myself and Adam got waders on here today, but Gav's gone for like a welly approach, and we've got some higher ground here, so we know obviously all the stuff's going to be kept dry and stuff. But I've been to places and before in the past where you're up to your waist in water fishing, and you always want to get your gear up out the way really, so it's safe, especially with the camera equipment and stuff. But looks like a fantastic day. Adam just if I spin it round here now, just going through the crab. Believe it or not, the crab we're using is about a week old. He's brought them on. We had about 100 and something there, and he's managed to keep about 50-ish alive, ready for today's session, and throws the rest of down for later on in the year. It's always nice to have a few crab, put in the freezer and that. A lot of people prefer fresh, but to be honest, I've found, especially for like smooth hounding and stuff like that, it don't make no difference really. What we tend to do before, when we're up the channel with Rob and Gav and Adam, is if we got some fresh, we just mix it up with some frozen. You know what I mean? You got a bit of mixture of both then, and it always seems to do you've got to look after them. You've got to bring them on right at the end of the day, freezing down correctly and stuff. And yeah, you can't beat quality bait for any type of fishing. Okay folks, so Adam's just brought his rig in, and he's been cleaned right off. He was getting a few little nibbles, crabs just attacking his bait, so I'm going to bring mine in now. But there's never joys of having these waders, especially especially where we're fishing now, you've got a lot of weed in close, and you get a decent fish on in that weed, and it's going to be going all over the place. And sometimes it can enable the fish to come off, and it's definitely not what you want. So I've got a little lander net with me. Got two of us with waders, so if we do get a fish on, at least we can wade out to the other side of the weed there and just land the fish, obviously nice and easy. And yeah, away you go. So it's always definitely worth having fishing these types of venues. The other good thing about obviously coming where we are at the moment at this time of year is as May approaches, you'll start getting loads of this, and it can be a pain to fish. Obviously there's a little bit around my lead now, but when it starts coming up around your eyes and that mayweed, it's not good. But to be honest, I've got my bait is intact.
Yeah, mine's alright as well.
So it must have been just Adams what they liked. Crabs must be close in. Got that. Oh, I got a bit of banter. Another one out there for Gav. At the moment, I think what we're doing is we're all casting in different distances, and yeah, he's a pervert. Soon as we start hitting into them, obviously you know where the fish are going to be really. But normally, where there's one gilthead, there's more. So that's what we're planning on anyway. But crab are lovely. Let's get the little baiting needle there a minute. Oh. The only thing I miss on this tripod is my little net.
Yeah.
Right. Like I say, I'm not a lover of the legs and that, boys. I know a couple of match anglers would see me cut them off on the floor and be like, what are you doing? But it is what it is. I'm not a fan of them. Even when I'm bassing, I'm not a fan. I like some kind of scent there at the same time, and obviously nice juicy crab bait that's like literally cut in half. Huh? Right, so this little tool is ideal. I literally put him into the crab like so. He's in. Right, and get my hook point now. Put the hook point straight through the crab up to that end like that, and then I can just elastic around it, take off any shell I don't want. Just want to take any elastic I want, it's doubled over there. Don't want that. You want a pretty bait, don't you, at the end of the day? If it looks good enough to eat, it's got to be. And I try to lock the bait into place around the hook by leaving a little bit of the bait below the hook itself, hook point itself, and then I can just elasticate him round like that, right to the top of the shank, a few bits like that, pull that through. It's job done then, ladies and gentlemen. It's a nice crab bait that's prime, it's lovely. How are you going to say no to that, aren't you? Right, so put my bait elastic and scissors in there with the crab a minute. Towels always recommended, especially in your sandwiches and that later on. The last thing you want to do is be tasting crab. So we'll get this one back out now. I'm going to give him a little bit more of a flick this time. The banter's already there. It's all about getting that first fish though. Right, so we'll get this one out.
Straight off my line.
No, it's not. He's having a laugh. It better not be. I'm right out in front. He's got all that space to the left hand side of him. It's a nice that adds. As I said before, what I'm going to do literally is pull down to the line. I feel that's in the middle of the channel there now. That's it. Barrel arm over. Pull that line back. There you go. That's it. I want to set it out properly, so I want the line set so if I do get a bite I'm going to see it, but at the same time I don't want it so it's completely tight. That's perfect again now, any nibbles I'm going to get to see it. These rods are perfect. They're sought after, very, anybody what's got them, you know what I mean, I've been offered stupid money for these and I'd never ever get rid of them. It's one of the best things I've probably bought fishing wise, if I'm honest. I got them when I moved to Teignmouth originally, just for flattening, and I've never been a fan of really flounder fishing like that really until I moved there, going back probably best part of 10 years ago now nearly. And when I first got up there, the first couple of years, fantastic, loads of flounders, and it was really good fishing. I enjoyed it. Of an evening go down, you know what I mean. I never had fantastic sessions in the team where you've gone and got like loads and loads of fish, but been one or two occasions I've gone down and I'd like 6. I think one of the best sessions I've ever had was down Coombe Cellars one evening. I got there over the top of the tide, and it was the biggest tide, and I literally went down there and I was blasting them out, and I had 6 flounders. I think the biggest was 2.7, smallest just under 2, some good fish, and I think the best bass on the session was like 4.5. So yeah, 2.7 and I think 4.5 pound bass in the same session. It's probably one of the best sessions I've had on there. But there is, they're perfect for it. They are perfect for it. Who's that ringing me now? Oh, it's Mr. Geff in Durham. I'll ring him back in a minute. But yeah, they're perfect for 11 foot. It's a shame Conoflex went over really, because I know years ago they used to make some fantastic rods, and anybody who's got them, they're not going to get rid of them, especially the 11 foot. Gav's got a set of pair of them as well. But to be honest, for modern day technology, what Adam's got there, the end shores, I mean, I love these rods, but one thing, what I do prefer the end shore, then I'll do that, is for casting. I mean, if you're going here, they'll cast maybe 70, 80 yards if you need it to, you know what I mean, big overhead lob, but Adams, those Centuries, they do cast, 4 ounce grip lead, you'll literally smash it to the horizon. Lovely day for it. Tide flooded in now. Got an hour to high water, see what we can get out. Just a waiting game now. Just a waiting game. So it's probably about half hour to high water. Just trying to put the seat backrest up on my seat box. A bit more comfort in it. I'll take them everywhere, and I mean everywhere. I think Gav was talking on it earlier on. Some of the marks what you go to, a lot of them take rucksacks. I'm a bit lazy, so I take a box. So at least you've got a little bit of comfort while you're fishing. I might let Adam use it in a minute. He's been on his feet for a long time. But yeah. Trouble is where we are at the minute, the way I see it, especially with high water, is where I see this estuary type fishing, because it's a big old unit where we're fishing at the minute. Lots of creeks, massive estuary, and the fish can be anywhere. You know what I mean? And it's at the end of the day, it is pot luck. Where the fish, if you're going to catch a fish. But what time is it now exactly? Yeah, so we've got basically half hour to try and pull a fish out for high water. If not, we've got the whole of the head. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to low water. Obviously the water's going to start pushing back, and it's going to basically channel the fish into smaller areas, and the channels. They can come up over the channels, they could be on the side of the banks, in through the weed, they can be anywhere at the minute. When the water starts dropping down and they're in the channels, they've got to be in those channels, and that's where they're going to be going up and down, obviously hitting that food. and hopefully coming across our hooks. That's the way I see it. But there's a few new things. You're enjoying the productions lately. We've done we've had a couple of half decent ones, haven't we? The place one last weekend wasn't what we thought. To be honest, it seemed to be in between, because from reports there's been a lot of fish coming out the past week, so it was strange really, and it was good tides and that for it. But yeah, it's just one of them. But I was speaking to a guy on there which knew the area, and where we were talking about where it felt like it was clay, apparently it's like thick silt and there's like a big gully, and apparently what it builds up in there, and once they get a lot of bad weather it sort of like clears out and pushes inshore, and you get a lot of divers going out through there apparently, but apparently it runs along the stretch of the beach, so it was always handy to know. But yeah, we're trying to do our bits and pieces, but I've had a few emails and messages. I would not go hitting it yet, guys, alright, because it's an up and coming thing, but there's a new link side to the YouTube channel where you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now, it's not put into place yet, so I recommend no one does it as of yet, but this isn't going to affect our everyday like weekend productions and stuff. But for the more advanced ones, at the end of the day, like when we get the camera men come down, like for Joseph and stuff, it all costs money, and that's the type of productions, to be honest, I like to put together, especially for editing, and it comes across a lot better. You get side angle views, and at the end of the day, what we're doing now, most of it's recorded between the guys while we're here. Obviously the camera's all running, what's up, we've got set up. If I got a fish on, someone will jump on the camera. If Adam's got fish on, I'll jump on the camera. If Gav's got fish on, like vice versa. A lot of it is it's low budget, low quality, just like everyday YouTube stuff, which I've been doing for years. But I think some of the productions we've done, especially when we got the cameramen and that, that's what I like putting together. It's proper productions, and you've got the sounds set up. We've got all the equipment to do it, but it's just having the guys put in a place. And obviously, to get the cameramen down, the guys can't be expected to fork out their own pocket to come down and just film. And we got like Joseph, fantastic guy. Obviously, I've obviously educated him. It's a fish that jumped up there, about I don't know, 1.5 meters off the weed. Look like a mullet or a bass, but yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's been trained up on the cameras. He knows it, and he enjoys it. And that's the hard thing to find, is to find someone who actually enjoys the fishing as well as the filming. And we've done some fantastic productions together. So what I would like to try and do is get him down like once a month, or as much as we can really, and do some good like proper high quality productions. And at the end of the day, the hardest thing is to get the camera in down as well as producing the fish, because as we all know, nothing's ever guaranteed with this fishing lark. You could have the right tides, everything could be perfect, and you still not get them. So it's obviously trying to capture the fish and get the quality of the filming and everything put in place. But it will be set up. At the moment, there's a basic thing with like gold, bronze, and silver. I wouldn't pay no attention to it at the minute. It will be updated over the next couple of weeks. And at the end of the day, what I want to do is to get some productions put into place on there, which is there, and it gives the viewers something to watch. There's no point people subscribing to the channel when there's nothing on there. But it's up and coming. It's for those that's interested in it. At the end of the day, probably be the same price as a magazine. So like basically what you get from the magazine each month, you'll get hours spent of fishing videos. But that won't stop anything what we're doing for the normal YouTube, like free view stuff. We'll still be doing those bits and pieces, but it's nice to do the more quality stuff. We've talked about doing DVDs and bits and pieces like that over the years, and I think it's a dying trade. To be fair, no one really buys DVDs now. Everything's done on the internet and stuff. And for the sake of a couple of quid, it supports obviously what we're doing as a project and stuff, and helps produce more equipment and do things which we would like to be able to do and film. It's like the Fort Ventura. We planned a trip going over there last year. And I was going to fork out my own pocket to take Joseph with us, because at the end of the day, you're going over there at the same time. It's costing a fortune to go over there and like fish and everything. And it's nice to be able to have everything filmed, but at the same time, you can't expect someone to go over there and not fish and film everything. So it's all part and parcel of it, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, some of you will enjoy it, some of you won't. Some of it will reap the benefits of it, and others won't. But we will include a lot more detailed stuff. And at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff we do, it's hard for us to like show marks and show information and stuff like that, because you get a lot of local guys who are not necessarily watching our videos and stuff to learn from. They'll be watching what I'm doing now, and they'll be looking behind me, and they'll be like, "Where's he to?" and that's all they're interested in. You know what I mean? And that's not what Sea Angling Adventure is about. It's about educating and helping people, and obviously viewing and entertainment and stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard for us at the same time, because it's the sort of things like where we are at the moment. It's just a fantastic part of the country. We can produce some really nice fish. You know what I mean? But if we go up and put like drone footage up exactly where we are, that's what we got to try, and you got to be clever about it at the same time, guys. It's not the fact that we're trying to hide things and stuff like that, but it's protecting things as well. But obviously, like rubbish. And I was watching a thing the other day of someone I got asked to watch, and then there was a video of someone who went to a mark, and it was a YouTuber, and he filmed all his stuff on the venue. And then someone went there the following day, and all his stuff was like rubbish, and that was left on the beach. And you're like, just pick it up and take it home. It's just ridiculous. I mean, don't take a lot to fill up a rubbish bag and take it home and put it in the bin. What I normally do is stink sometimes when you got bait wrappers and stuff like that. And on the way home, there's always bins. You know what I mean? Public bins, and I just stop off and chuck it in the bin. But yeah, just need those fish to play ball now. But Dan Bassett will be here very shortly, and hopefully one of us see a fish out. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, back to the rod tips. As you can see, the clarity of the water, absolutely crystal here today. That's what we want. Okay, so about 2 hours into the back tide now, and just had a little tap on Gav's rod, left hand rod there. It is quite cold. It's not if you're out in the sun, but the trees are actually shading us from the sun here at the minute, and you can feel the chill. But yeah, very slow. Hey mate?
They're multiplying.
Yeah, they are.
I think it was just the tide, mate.
Oh, and the top, you reckon? They're slackened off on you then, isn't it?
Yeah, I've done it 3 times now. But that's what makes me think it's just picking up the legs. I've only got flats on.
Got a chance of anything really where we are. You got a chance of flounder, bass, gilts, eels, possibly a ray, fawny, you never know. Hopefully it develops into something, but I think Dan's going to be here in a minute. He's, I think it's about dinner time he was going to come up. Very slow on the bites in a minute, but it's part of estuary fishing, I suppose. You reckon?
I've never had a kill that fight, so I don't know.
They're fighting? There isn't no ledge there, Ad, you'll be right. He's going. He's up to the left, it's Gilt, isn't it? What's the 3? Gilthead.
Lovely, look at that.
Look at that. That was a nice one.
Stunning. Now, Gav, what we do, mate. Nope, not really yet. Hold it there, Gav.
And the Cuthburtson returns!
That must have been the
Nice one there!
Has they come through?
I've seen him then, and he
Lovely in the water,
oh,
Gav. Did you see
lovely,
him?
nice fish, mate, well done.
Fucking hell, boy.
Hey! Look at that, that is prime Gilthead Bream, boys and girls. So we come for today, and he's smashed it out. Well done, mate, well done.
Let's be back into retirement.
Hey! Well, that's what we come for today, boys and girls, and he smashed up. That's one you had in the channel, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Typical bite, went right over.
Smashed it, just
Yeah,
took a rod right over.
look at the markings on him, lovely. I'll tell you, lovely tasty as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, one for the table, mate, one for the table. Smashing Gilthead Bream.
Lovely.
And yeah, that's what we wanted. A few
Target
pictures,
species.
came on. But we've got to go for the rig here quickly, because Gav's gone for a different method than us. He's gone for a fixed pat rig. So basically, that everything's fixed on that. And to be honest, that's paid in its capture as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. 3 ounce lead.
Nice and short.
Job done.
Bang.
Came on. What's that, 2-0 Ginny?
Yeah, 2 old chinny, yeah.
Job done. Nice one. Came on. Couple of pictures. Let's get on. Well, he's done it. He's lifted everybody's spirits. It's been a long morning, and we were just sitting there talking, and then suddenly I looked to the right hand side, and Gav's rod had a bite, and you've seen him holding it. He must have felt the pull, struck right into the fish, and he's kindly enough give it to Adam, who has never ate it before. They're absolutely fantastic, beautiful fish to eat. But yeah, it's lovely plate size as well. To be honest, if it was bigger, he would have returned it, but it's just, that's lovely eating size. That I would have done the same. I mean, anything that sort of size, 3 or 4 pound, it's lovely eating size, isn't it? I mean, if he had like a 7-8 pounder, no doubt he'd be returned to fight another day. But one of the joys of sitting here all day. That's going to have a nice bit of tea tonight. We're going down there to wash him off now. But yeah, spot on. Hopefully we can see a few more out. As we were just talking then with Gav, he put one in close, expecting the fish to come along straight along like the side as it starts dropping off from the weed, and he's hit one right out there. And I think where we're fishing at the moment, the actual boating channel is a little bit further out, just in front there. See that go again? Yeah. So yeah, fantastic. Hopefully we can see a few more. Been a good day so far. The sun's starting to come around now. And it's not actually hit me yet, but it has been a bit chilly over a breeze. That's all you need sometimes, just that one fish to lift your spirits, don't you? Pressure's off as well now. We've got a fish for the camera. It's always a way. As long as one person catches, we're all happy. There's nothing worse than coming down here, especially going down to target something and not getting what you want. It's always done as a team. Adam's just down there prepping his fish now, ready for tea tonight. But yeah, spot on. Absolutely fantastic, beautiful fish to eat. Hope for a few more now, eh? I'll put some fresh baits on in a minute, because when there's one gilt, there's more to follow.
Ooh, shit, man.
Language. Nice fish.
Feels alright.
There isn't no ledge there, Gav, you're right. Oh, that's a nice one. Oh, that's a nice one, lads. Somebody going with my waders or?
Get on, mate.
What are we moving for? Nice fish, isn't it? Nice fish, look at that. Look at that in the mouth there.
Perfectly up.
Perfectly it. Well done, mate.
Get on, bite. Well done. Fist bump.
Okay, so I'm just going to put a fresh bait on now. Nice fresh bait. I hit that one there out a little bit further than last time, and I haven't been stripped. It's been out a little while as well, so it's always nice. Let's hopefully see if we can get that another good Gilthead Bream out, eh? As I said before, they're not massive baits. Half a crab, like medium-sized crab. So if you've got big crabs, you wouldn't even put half a crab on. Really nice compact baits, really. Just try and get it straight in their mouths and then hook them up. Nice bit of scent on that. Still the shell, which I think is important at the same time. Nice 2-0. That's bang on. Let's get him out there. So I've just put a grip lead on there now because that tie's starting to push round to the left. So at the end of the day, we don't want our leads just obviously going into each other. So I'm going to put one short where there's slightly no tide, and then on the other one, a bit of a grip lead, short trace again. I think a wire sometimes helps it to settle down into the seabed at the same time. So let's get one out there. Perfect. Sort of like stopped it in midair to bring him back. I'm bringing a short one in now. A lot of weed starting to come through. There it is, yeah. Bait's coming back now. Ideal. So, half a crab. I'm basically taking the shell off it, the top end of the shell, not underneath, just the top, yeah? Lots of different ways to do it. A lot of different people do it different ways, yeah? So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come along the crab, 2-0 chinny, whoops, I'm going to go in and out through the top like so, and then put them out for the side, hold on to the eye of the hook. So I'm going to bait elastic him now, bit of bait elastic, and just try and get some of these juices flowing. Alright, like so. Bring them around. That's perfect. Keeping the eye of the hook down, sitting there like that. That is basically what I'm doing. Small compact bait, gilt comes along and hopefully swallows what I want it to swallow. I'm going to put a little bit more on the top end of the eye of the hook, stop him from sliding up. Job done. Same again, guys, got a gripper on. See this one here, it's gone left slightly, but it's holding. Set the drag a little bit this time, just because of the way the grip lead's going to be sat in. That's going to set the hook for me. I do like the idea of the fixed pat, what Gav's using as well. I've never actually used that targeting the gilts. I've always gone for the bolt rig. When I say bolt, I mean bolt, B-O-L-T. I've had that people asking before, what is this bolt rig about? And it's a bolt rig basically, so when the fish goes, it does what you need it to do. Strike and set that hook. I think it's really important to make sure that hook stays, when they hit the bait, because of the tough mouths, that the hook goes straight in. But a lot of anglers we've seen today, they're moving up and down with the tide, which I think is probably the right way to fish. Obviously it's our day off, the last thing I want to be doing constantly is moving up and down with the tide. So we've been a bit lazy, but we've produced a fish, so hopefully we can see another one out. As soon as that hits water, I'm literally pulling it back. Stop it from going, just bedding into the seabed for a start, and obviously setting the rig. Okay, for a little bit of change of spot, we've there's a tide going down to where we're fishing. Obviously, the fish are coming down tide, so over low water we've moved spots now, and hopefully we can try and pick a few up. Big Dan Bassett's over to the left hand side of me, turned up for the day, so we'll get him in camera in a minute, talk a little bit more. When it comes to this sort of fishing, to be honest, you can't ask for much more with Dan. Dan's done it for many years, lots of knowledge, and the general thing with Sea Angling Adventures is always, to be honest, this, as we said before, a lot of the big rod fishing and that, this is coming out of our comfort zone a little bit. Not to say we haven't done a lot of it, I've done a lot of gilthead fishing over the years and stuff, but at the end of the day, you're never going to be experienced, and obviously, especially where we're fishing today, Dan's been fishing it since he was that high, and yeah, that's what you can. There's a couple of bites here now. There's a lot of weed passing through though. There's weed on the line there. He just wants that snatch, that's what I want. Be nice. So we've got one from Adam, one for Big Gav. Be nice to get one out myself and obviously on Dan Bassett. So hopefully between all of us, you can see some decent fish out here today.
Literally need to take the rod out the rest end. Missed it.
So that's part and parcel of gilthead, isn't it, at the end of the day? You're not going to hook into all of them, unfortunately. It goes to show they're still in front of us, mate, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's right on the far side of that channel, that is.
Yeah, I've got one on the far side, one on the side.
What do I do with this bait now? Do I bring it in or what? I don't know.
Just leave him there for a minute, mate. See what happens.
Nearly pulled the rod out the rest then.
Yeah, I know. Okay, guys, here we have the one and only Mr. Dan Bassett.
Yo.
This is your sort of like neck of the woods, really, mate.
Yeah.
Running around this into a nipper, about that height.
Well,
About you that height.
not much bigger now.
But yeah, you can sort your back garden, really, innit? You know,
I love
bits
this.
and pieces.
Yeah, I love this sort of fishing, mate. You
Yeah.
can't beat estuary
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. You know, perfect day,
Lovely day.
nice scenery, fishing for nice fish as
Fish.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't beat this.
You've had a
kind of
few.
stuff.
You've had a few fish out here from the past, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had
A few gilts.
quite a lot of fish. You know where we
Yeah.
are. It's It is a no mark for them. Everybody knows you get gilts here,
yeah.
so
It's when to go for them, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't really know times and conditions wise and stuff like that, really. Which
That's it.
obviously you've
mate,
put time and
that
effort
all-
over the years.
Yeah, and it all same as every type of fishing. It just
Yeah.
boils down to hours.
Yeah.
Putting the hours in. You've got to sit there through the blanks as well. It's going to happen. You're going to have your bad sessions.
Definitely, yeah. Like we were talking earlier on, and with the estuary fishing, especially all that water in front of you, especially at high water, they're going to be everywhere, up through the creeks and everywhere.
Yeah.
And then where we are now at low water, you're using your noggin a little bit, and
Yeah, it's
to
just-
follow back with the fish, because obviously the water's going like that, and it's obviously hoping the fish go into certain areas where you target.
That's it, mate. Exactly that. Like you say, a lot of estuary stuff with a lot of things: mulleting,
Yeah.
gilting, floundering.
Yeah.
All estuary work. They're going to be in the channels waiting for the tide, and they're going to be coming up over the flats and everything with the tide. You know. So
Yeah.
just have a little think about it. Like we're fishing the tide down today.
Yes, we are.
And like you say, we're in an estuary.
Yeah.
The fish are only up there because the tide's up there. They've
Yeah.
got to come back out.
They're moving
again.
with the tide, aren't they?
That's it, mate. Yeah.
And
They've got to come back down.
Yeah, I know from like places in Cornwall, depending on the size of the tide, they'll hold in certain areas.
Yeah.
So like they move up to certain areas and depending on the tide. So like on the big springs, they go right back up.
Yeah,
on
that's
like the
it.
medium tides, they don't go as far up, but
Yeah.
they tend to hold in the deeper water, come low water.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they'll just
And,
find a nice channel.
Yeah, depending how big the tide is and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll go right back in the tide and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I find it a bit with mulleting as well, really.
Yeah,
So
it's,
you can see that mulleting
well,
jumping behind us.
yeah, you'll get a lot of that. You know, at
Yeah.
low water as well. You'll probably see a lot more mullet. They'll just hang around. You know, they don't need a lot of water,
No.
a foot of water, and
It's a bit early for them, though. But the one good thing about it, you haven't got the mayweed.
Yeah, that was my idea that I went out the other day, and that was my thinking behind it. I wanted, because this river can be, we all know it can be a pain with that, you know, that lettuce weed, the bright green stuff.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get down here because the weather has been nice. As soon as that stuff starts with the nice weather, it just goes mental.
We'll show you a little clip hit now of Dan weighing his fish with the Sea Angle Adventures. We've got a little bit of a festival going on in a minute, so we waited for this festival with that. Nice picture, nice Gilthead it was, wasn't it? Talk us through what happened then.
To be fair, it's the first session out, mate.
Yeah.
It was literally just a case of I was going to go placing, but everybody's been out after the place, so I just thought I'll try for a gilt.
Yeah.
First session of the year,
Yeah.
you know, just go grab a few quid's worth of lug,
Yeah.
come out have a few hours, and yeah, fortunate enough to get one. Like I say, I want a monster fish, but
You move spots.
yeah, I got down low water, so it was a case then
Work your way
of
back
doing
up.
the opposite, just work your way up.
Back
You'll
up.
find you pick a spot and you'll get fish. Even if you don't get the fish, you'll get the bites for an hour or so.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it'll go quiet, and that's because everything's moving up with the tide.
I think the joy of it, really, you got a seat box, you got two rods that don't weigh a lot, you know what I mean, and you can literally band them up and you just walk with them, can you?
Yeah,
especially where we are now, you haven't got to go up and down through woods and stuff like that. Some mocks and some creeks you have.
Yeah,
You'd
but
have to follow well,
that's all part of it, you know.
Yeah,
You can leave your rod set up in your rod because you're not moving far. It's just
he didn't want to move to come and do this filming now because he said I'm watching my rod tips.
He
So just come over here.
just dragged me away from my rods, and I'm getting twitchy here now because
what rigs and that do you like to use? I'm using a boat rig, so what I always use for them. Gav's used a fixed pat, and Adam's got a boat rig on as well. What do you tend to go for?
Mate, to be fair, there ain't no set rig. They all work, you know.
Yeah.
Gav, Adam, they've had fish already.
Yeah. I think like Gav said earlier on, if you get finicky fish, then that boat rig is that fixed pat is going to be the way forward because it's instant connection.
It is, yeah. And that's another reason why, like you was asking just a minute ago, although I've got bait runners, I don't have the bait runners on. You know, I have it set all the time.
Yeah.
So I just
a lot of people do it differently, and it's nice to see how different people fish. Like depending where I am now, I've got them locked in.
Yeah.
But like on some of the Cornwall estuaries where you've got some tide in that, I do have them so they're tight, but they can take slight line if they need to.
But it depends on what.
Because a big gilthead will take that rod straight off into the water.
Yeah, and they've got a reputation for it. Well, to be fair, it depends on what bait I'm using. Like, I've got both rods out there now. I've got one with lug on, and I haven't got the bait runner on that one. That's just solid.
Yeah.
And I've just found a nice softie. I've put that out, and I've left the bait runner off on that one. So, because with baits like that, especially the bigger baits, crabs, mussels, things like that, they'll pick it up and they don't just swallow it straight away like a lugworm. They'll pick it up.
Mouth it.
You'll see what their teeth are like. They're designed for crunching stuff.
Yeah, they are.
So they'll bite it, they'll spit it out again, get rid of the shell, whatever they don't want, and then they'll come again. So I've left the bait runner on that one, so if it wants to, and it's on really loose.
Yeah.
So if it wants to, you can give it time to eat the crab, because I've had it before. I've had it, the bait alarm on, locked in, and you get the fish. And they feel it, mate. You know, they know something's up
straight away.
Yeah, and that's it, gone. So it just gives them that bit of extra time to.
Yeah.
Because even on your.
Do you leave the shells on?
I will do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like you just said there. I leave one side on, one side off, because my thoughts are exactly what you said. When they're mouthing the bait, they go like that. If they feel it nice and soft, half the time it's going to go right back.
Yeah, a lot of the time. If you, like you say, if you have it set, and I have it set really loose as well, there's still a little bit of resistance there, but it gives them that bit of extra time just to crunch it, spit it out, and then they'll come back, and it'll almost feel like a tiny little schoolie bite. You have the rod in your hand ready, and you'll feel it, just tiny. But as soon as that fish goes, just hit it then.
Yeah. That's what Gav done earlier on. And Gav was, I think, his best gill was just under the £5 mark. Yeah. And he said when he had that, it was like a schoolie bite. It's like literally tap, tap, tap. And then when he hit into it, that's when it went.
It can surprise you sometimes. Well, last year, I'd say the majority of the gills we had, it was all like, don't get me wrong, you'll get the bites where...
I've only had screaming runs. All the ones I've had, they literally screaming.
Exactly, they'll pull it off, but a lot of the time, we had it a lot last year, and it was just tiny, really finicky. Some of them were playing it for 5 minutes before they were actually taking it.
Yeah.
It's just be patient, and as soon as you feel that...
Over, hit it.
Like you're using... not circle hooks, but chinoos anyway. But because of the way their mouths are, and they're such hard teeth and bony,
it's probably the perfect hook for fishing with gill skill.
They are, mate. Yeah, you can't get them. No. They're the best pattern.
Full breaming, all types of breaming, really. They're perfect size. They're not wide gate. They're very strong and super sharp. And I think that's what you need to get, especially with the mouse on them.
That's it. Like I say, we'll have a go through the rig in a minute. But I've used different types of hooks, but the majority of the time now I stick with the 1.0 Cox and Raw chino.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of reasons. I like the gauge of the hook, really strong gauge. Yeah. They're strong as you like.
Yeah.
And if you're reeling your rig in over this stuff all day long, It's always good practice. Yeah, it's always good practice to check it at the end of every cast, but they just stay sharp all session. You know, I've had fish on it, and you know, we've had sessions where we've had 3-4 fish on the same hook, and you're testing it, you dragged it across the stones and that whole session.
And it's fine.
They're absolutely fine, mate. I can't fault them. The Cox and Raw Chinoos.
I tend to, when I get them, I always put my rigs through, like dry them off. But I tend to use it like the same trace over again sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
well, I've got one out there now.
I've got wire on, like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've got one out there now, and it's not something I usually do. But with those hooks, like that fish I had on the other day, is exactly the same rig. It's the same hook. It's already had a fish caught on it, and it's still super sharp. Yeah. So I've got no issues with using it. Yeah, it's ideal.
But it's all year round you really get them then. You find.
Yeah, you do.
You fish a lot for them. You get them in January, February, March.
April, you get them all year round. Look at
people had them. I know when Rob Rob Beaton, when we done the video with him, he was saying he's had them when he's floundering.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you will do.
And to be honest, only into recent years, especially where we are, they've only just been come across.
Yeah.
People just started to fish from because I don't think a lot of people realise they were there.
I think people are getting a long time, you know, like you say, it's only just kicked off the last 4 or 5 years, people getting into the gills. I think people are catching them way before that, but
just keeping it quiet.
Yeah, just keeping it quiet.
You know, social media.
It's something different. They're, you know, it's the type of fish. It doesn't matter what size they are. They're just a nice fish to catch.
Well, Adam was just fishing there, and he's had his first Gilthead Bream today.
Was that his first one?
Never targeted him before.
Oh,
and,
nice.
He, to be honest, he's a lot of the big rod fishing, like I said, what we do, and he went and bought himself a pair of ventral bass rods, Century bass rods.
A bit posh.
Yeah, a bit posh, but they're ideal for it. It's what you need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those fatty snacks are very hard to get hold of now, and you can see his face. He was glowing, like, and he wasn't expecting it to be. He's like, oh, how powerful! He knew it was a gill straight away because they're very powerful.
They are. That's one of the attractive things about it as well. Like any type of bream, they just go like hell.
Yeah,
you know?
they do.
They keep their heads down, and you know when you've got a bream on, you can tell the difference.
It's constantly diving.
That's what I mean. You get a 3-4 pound bream, that'll fight harder than an 8 pound bass.
Easy. That black bream I had was better than the 12 pound bass I've had.
Yeah, like, there you go. They just keep going and going, and that's one of the attractive things about them. You got the scene where we're fishing as well. Yeah. You can't beat it. I love this.
It's been a lovely day, to be honest. Earlier on when the sun wasn't on us, it was a bit chilly, but now the sun's sort of like come around. It's going to be a nice evening, I think.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a look at your rigs then, Sam.
Yeah, we're going to do that now.
Yeah, game on, mate. Okay, so we're going to go through Dan's basic setup, what he likes to use. And you can see straight away, it's a lot more scaled down than what us lads are using here today. So you've got?
Anywhere, any fish, anywhere estuary, Mark II, mate.
Yep, 1300 gram.
Yeah, they're perfect rods for this.
12 foot.
Yeah, they are fantastic. I've had them for a long time.
Yep.
I actually sold them at one point.
Did you?
And I went down the continental route.
Did you?
Yeah, big mistake. I ended up getting these back, luckily.
You got them back here?
Yeah. I wouldn't be without them, mate. They really are good rods.
Spin fishers on the bottom?
Yeah, spin fish up the 4,500 bait runners.
Yep.
And they are loaded with the 18. I know it might sound a lot to some people considering the type of fishing we're doing, but that's the 18 pound pro spec on there.
Yeah, I've got 20 pound on mine.
Yeah, mate. It's
always needed.
It's hell of a strong. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I haven't tested how strong it is on fish. It's been tested on weed.
Yeah.
Massive clumps of weed, and I'm sure on any other line they would have parted out. But this stuff, it just pulls everything.
A lot of people have said that to me. Why do you use a 20 pound line for targeting bass and all the estuary work? And that's straight away what you said there. I've had tractor tyre. I was there one night, and I was down in the team fishing for flounder, and my rod just folded over, a line started coming off it. I thought, what the hell was that? It's just dead weight.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, you know what I mean, there's something there. I started bringing it in, and the rod handled it, no problem at all. It was down to the line I brought it in, but it was 20 pound on the 20 pound line. There's a tractor tyre, literally pulled straight into the front.
It's fantastic stuff,
but
mate.
You don't know what you're going to get. You know, it's like the end of the road. You've got ledges, you've got weeds, you've got anything, especially when they come in close. You imagine getting like a gilthead of a lifetime or bass of a lifetime and losing it down to 15 pound line what's just been cut off or something. You forgive yourself, would you?
That's it. Like you say, for what it is as well, you know, it's low diameter as well, this stuff. In
pro spec is, yeah.
I've never had any troubles. You get everything back every time, which
you want. You don't want to be losing gear,
and you don't want to be leaving rigs out there because chances are
it doesn't stop you playing a fish. At the end of the day, you still enjoy it, don't you?
Yeah, like you say, it's got the low diameter, strong as you like. That's what I stick with, mate.
It's the rods at the end of the day. Don't mean the difference. Just it's not heavy rods. You can enjoy the fish fight and that at the same time and that. But
I find that the perfect setup for me.
You like that?
Yeah. That's what I'm using, mate. It's brilliant.
I can see you've got your tripod all set up with different thing mulleting, is it?
Yeah, well, to be fair,
you can't do all though, can you?
It is nice to, if you could, bring more rods.
Yeah.
It's easy to get carried away thinking, I want one with lug out there, one with crab in here, I want one with crab, but you know, it is easy to get.
That's true with estuary fishing as well. You could fish a couple, 3 rods, 4 rods even if you wanted.
Yeah, I would do, but especially with the gilts, if you start getting them, especially with the estuary fishing, you'll get like an hour of you just get fish, or bite. With 3, any more than 2 rods, it's hard work then, you know.
Yeah.
It takes the enjoyment out of it. So.
I know guys who only fish 1 rod when they're gilting. Stu Norris is actually saying we'd rather fish 1 rod and fish it properly than 2.
Yeah.
And I did it the other year when I was fishing for him. Exactly saying what you said, over low water I'm fishing for him, and I had a fish on 1 rod, and as I'm going like that, you can see in the background where the rod going off.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? I'm like, what do you do? And
Before,
I'm just reading it.
You know, without even realising, you could play 8-ounce bass in that one, and you've got a 8-pound gilt screaming off on that one.
It is.
Yeah, just keep it simple. At the end of the day, it's just here to enjoy it.
Right, we're going to get inside the man's tackle box now. Let's go.
Right, here we are. This is the setup I use for the Giltheads. You say we've already been through the rods, estuary rod, fixable reel, and with the gilts off, I've tried all sorts of different things. Well, it's all been really simplistic stuff, but you try different things, you know, sort of bolt rigs, this, that and the other, and to be fair, they all work, but just for simplicity, I always go back to the running ledger, and this is what I'm going to stick with now. This is what I prefer to use. So we've got 18 pound Pro Spec mainline on here, and on there I've got a little, I think this is the Rovex sliding swivel there, pulley bead. And there's a reason I use the Rovex ones as well. It's not about trying to bump anybody's names or things like that, but I've used other ones, and if you take a look at them, look at them when you buy them from the shop, you see in the hull, a lot of them are quite sharp, they've got really sharp edges, but on these Rovex ones, they're more rounded. And if you check them now and again, when you're pulling through weed and things like that, it can cut into the pulley bead. But these more rounded off ones, they seem to last a lot longer, but it's always worth checking them. And onto that pulley bead, I've put a breakaway little mini clip on there, just for, you know, quick release if you want to change weights, weight sizes. That's that pulley bead, little breakaway release clip there, and that's down to a 2.5 ounce pyramid lead. I very rarely use grip leads. It's usually plain leads or pyramid style leads, just to slow down the drift a little bit. And then I slide on that's that bit, and I'll slide on a hard 5mm bead, black. I don't use any bright colours. A hard 5mm bead, and below that a soft rubber 5mm bead, and you can actually see there, I haven't done that, I've just wound that in, and that's the reason I use those rubber beads, because after a few casts, with the impact of the cast, it'll actually push the rubber bead over the knot onto the swivel, and that stayed there now. Like, I can pull it off, but it stays over the knot and protects it, and that's down to a swivel. The swivels, these are, and again there's a reason I use these, the Asari swivels. In all my other types of fishing I'll use any other swivel, the Gemini ones, but I use these because they're black. I don't want a brand new bright shiny swivel on my trace. These are the black ones, and these are, I know again it sounds a lot, but these are actually 141 kilo swivels. But if you have a look at these, that sounds ridiculous, I know, but if you have a look at them, they are actually they are very small for how strong they are. So that's that down to there. I tie it on however you like, but I actually do a double uni knot. I double the line up and then tie a double uni knot on there, only because I don't want, with the violent head shakes from the Gilthead, sometimes, well, they say sometimes, it hasn't actually happened, but I just do this for peace of mind. Just double the line up. It just helps take the impact of the violent head shakes of the fish. So yeah, that's tied on with a double uni knot down to the Asari swivels, and that's only because they are super strong swivels and they're black. Trace line, £25. That's the majority of the time I'll use £25. Sometimes I'll drop down to 20 or go up to 30, but I seem to use £25 a lot. About 3 foot hook length, then slide just a little rubber bait stop on there, just to help stop your lugworm flying up the trace line as you cast. And that's down to the hooks we were talking about just a minute ago. The 1/0 Cox and Raw Canoes, fantastic hooks. You know, I've already used this on a session the other day and it's still razor sharp, so that one's still good to go. That's it. That's how I fish with fish for the Giltheads. It's really simple stuff, but just little things, you know, like tying the knot, the rubber bead. It's just extra peace of mind, really, just a bit of reassurance, because they can be, you know, quite heavy fighters, these fish. That's it. Keep really simple. A lot of the time I'll use lugworm, found last year, you know, lug, crab, they're both excellent baits. I'll use mussels as well. But I'll always start with lug, or I'll always have lug on one rod, and you'll pick up most of your fish on that. They won't be the big fish. You'll find that the crab will pick out the bigger fish, but simple setup like that. Get yourself a tenner's worth of lug, flick it in a channel in an estuary, and then you're in with a good shout. Right, just going to go a quick go through of, I'm going to stick this one out again now with mussels on it, so have a quick talk through how I'll bait up with the mussels. Just bear with me, I'll just cut one or two out. It's I was saying earlier, if you just put a little bit of logic, you know, think a little bit about what you're doing. If you're fishing areas like this, get down at low water, sort of have a little look around, have a route around, see what you can find, and you'll often find things like mussels, and that's what the fish are in feeding on, really. So it makes sense to use what the fish are feeding on. But this is what I'll do. I'll cut a couple of free mussels out. I've cut out 3 there. Get my little baiting tool. We actually talked about this one on a recent place video we did. Little baiting tool that I'll use. I'll put the mussels in there on top, and I have one thing to note as well. These I've just very quickly sort of steamed these mussels, not for long at all. Just steam them, I don't know, a couple of minutes, just to help plump them up a little bit. And to be fair, if nothing else, it just makes it easier to deal with the bait. We've got them on there like that, but it is a good idea to put your hook on first. Stick the hook on. There we go, just lay them in the hook, stick the mussel meat on. And just put on plenty of bait elastic. Mussel is a very delicate bait, and it can be difficult to hook a bait like this. There's certain areas within the meat you can get a half decent hook hold, but this is how I stick it on. So just a bit of bait elastic on there. Sort of, you take care. There's no point in rushing any of this. Just take your time, get your bait presented nicely. You don't want to go through all the effort of finding the marks and finding where the fish are and then just sort of stick on a bait any old way. Just take your time, get it presented nicely. I'll leave that one like that, and then I'll take another mussel. Going back to what we were saying earlier, the giltheads, especially with things like mussels, they'll pick the bait up and they'll crunch it first. They'll break it all up and then spit it out, and then they'll come back again and then take the bait, which is why I've elasticated the meat onto the hook already. So I've elasticated that on there. Then I'll actually drop this inside the mussel. Then just put the whole thing inside that mussel. You want it to be as natural as possible. The water is gin clear today, and they are, although they will feed in the dark at night and in muddy conditions as well, they are predominantly sort of sight feeders. So just keep it all as natural as possible. And the idea of whipping that bait onto the hook first, the separate meats, is the fish will come in, pick up the mussel, crunch it, and then it'll drop it. It'll spit out what it don't need, and it'll come back and just take the meat, and that's the bit with the hook in it. So keep it all as natural as possible. Stick it inside another mussel, then put a bit of extra cotton just to keep the mussel shell closed. Otherwise, if you don't do that, obviously you're hooked as soon as it will come out as you cast. So just close the mussel up again. That's it. It is messy, but it's definitely worth it. There you go, you've got a nice natural bait there. The fish won't know any different until hopefully it's too late.
Okay, change of bait for me. Lots of weed. Lots of weed. It's not what we want. As you can see it now coming off my line. As you start going into the summer months, unfortunately it gets worse and worse. Fresh crab on here now, and hopefully the fish will start feeding. That's all you can hope for, eh? All you can hope for. Where we're fishing now, I think that last couple of times I've overcast, because I can sort of see a line there now.
You wish.
I think that line is the other side of the bank. No, I know Adam's been having trouble hitting that first line, but we'll go and see if we can help him out in a minute. He's a good old lad. Just struggling with these small estuary rods at the minute. It's the power in them, I think. struggling to get into the midsection. Okay folks, well that was our Sunday weekender, and lovely day. Weather's been absolutely perfect. A little bit over breeze. Fish out for Ads, fish out for Gav. Me and Dan's not managed to have one yet, but we've not got long now left, so I'm pretty much, this is going to be my last cast now. So if we do get a fish, I'll be sure to conclude it, but if not, that's pretty much it from myself and the lads. But I hope you've enjoyed the episode and picked up a few hints and tips. As I said guys, a lot of the videos what we've been doing, and we will still carry on doing for as long as we get old and old and old, I suppose, but a lot of it's educational. I try and include as much educational content as we can. Obviously at the end of the day we want guys to watch it and learn from what we're doing, and hopefully getting a few of you into a few fish. And I know there's hints and tips, and I'll pick up a few hints and tips from Dan today, especially with that mussel. I like the way that he done the mussel. I was speaking to him afterwards, and he's had a lot of fish on that, believe it or not. And it's a method which keeps it as natural as you can be, really, isn't it? And great little tip there. You know what I mean? Hopefully sees a few fish out. I mean, mussel's a fantastic bait. It's an underestimated bait a lot of the time, because a lot of people can't get hold of it. But you get a few mussels and stuff, you're pretty much laughing, aren't you? But the sun, it's been an absolutely cracking day. You couldn't have asked much better. Ad's putting one of his rods away now, and I'm going to go down to one rod in a minute when I pack the next one away and start winding down. But yeah, be sure to catch up with future episodes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It amazes me that I think it was when I was looking on the analysis of it, but 64% of people who are watching hasn't subscribed to the channel. And yeah, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost nothing, and it keeps you up to date with all the future productions and the weekly productions and stuff. But as I said, over the next up and coming weeks, we have got a subscription channel coming along, and a lot of the videos what go on that won't be the general tutorials and rigs and stuff like that. It's going to be mainly about humour and about our fishing at the end of the day, because a lot of the stuff we've been doing, there's always a lot of humour and a little banter going on between myself and the lads, and it's there for anybody that wants to watch it at the end of the day. It's more like just based on fishing, really. We'll do some filming trips and stuff, and yeah, game on. But for myself at Sea Angle Adventures, till the next time. Danny B in action. That mussel doing its business. Oh, it's a nice fish, isn't it?
No, it's not a big fish, but look at that. You don't get a better sight than that, do you?
You don't really. I love the way they play. Yeah. Oh, it's bigger than Adams and Gav. Oh yeah, definitely bigger than mine, boys. Nice one, Dan. Look at that. Prime conditions, getting it loaded up. Was that lug? Or mussel?
Yeah, that one's on lug, that was, mate.
Look at that. I can't beat it.
Beautiful.
Gilthead Bream in. Lovely April day. What a way to end the session. Nice one, Dan.
There we go. Lovely little gilthead. Not a big fish, but yeah, we'll let this one fight another day. It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Not
Look at
really,
that
mate.
beautiful sight. Let him get himself together.
There he goes.
Look at that.